Hello everybody, welcome back to our Sunday vlog. So today I'm going to be kind of taking you along through the process of actually editing The Witch's Key. So this is something that for me usually goes by pretty quickly. I know that there are some books that take me a lot longer to edit, just depending on how well the rough draft went, but I typically tend to spend a lot more time plotting the book, writing the book, than I do in edits. So every writer is different when it comes to how long each stage of the process will take them. So for me, I usually, this is not every book, but usually I am, by the time I get finished with the rough draft, I'm pretty clear on what needs to happen in the edit. So it's just a matter of how long is it going to take me to go through piece by piece and put the story back together. How much of the rough draft did I end up throwing out and having to rewrite? And all of those things make a difference in how long it takes me to edit the book. So I am actually getting started on my Witch's Key edits, like for real, later than I expected. Part of that is because we had a sick baby. Part of it is because I was just so immersed in the Witch's Key process that I let other things slide, and it's taken me over a week to really get back to where I need to be on my other projects on this Kanban board. So I just have had a lot of things to catch up on, and I'm still way behind, but I'm also trying to be very mindful of my own mental health and burnout. I am someone who is very susceptible to burnout. I have burned out in the past where I just couldn't write for really over a year, almost a year and a half, because I just pushed myself too hard. And I definitely don't want to get to a point where even, just getting one book out sacrifices a year's worth of future writing because I pushed too hard. But at the same time, pre-orders wait for no one, and this is part of why I don't usually use pre-orders. But in this case, of course, I put up a pre-order because I already finished the rough draft. So let me take you along through my process, how I plan out my edits, and how long it takes, what I'm working on, and how I'm doing it. I hope that you enjoy this vlog. If you do, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here as part of our family. And also, if you have not read The Witch's Key, you can go back. I'll link the playlist for you down below, and you can listen to me read all of The Witch's Key. You can also go over to Wattpad or my blog, and you can read it for yourself in rough draft form, or you can go ahead and pre-order the book, and it is coming out on May 19th, which is coming up really, really fast. And that will be the edited version of this book, which will be hopefully a lot better even than the rough draft was. So what I read here on YouTube was my rough draft, and I was reading the book basically as I was writing it. Now I'm going through the process of editing that entire book. I hope you enjoy this video, and I really hope you guys are going to love the edits I make to this book. So let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I have been working on my edits here in my downstairs office. For those of you that don't follow my Heart Breathings channel, this set of pages is what I call my How to Write Your Novel workbook. And I created this based on my favorite books on writing and what I've learned about writing over the years. So this is not really anyone's system in particular. It's really a culmination of a lot of different systems, like Deborah Dixon's Goal, Motivation, Conflict, where you really work through the character arc and what you know about that character. Beginning, Middle, and End is more from James Scott Bell's book, Write Your Story from the Middle. Then I also have scene and structure breakdowns for the different acts of the story. Now, if you're not a writer, some of this may make zero sense to you, and that's totally fine. But if you're a writer, you might find this interesting. So all of the notes that I made in this workbook were all things that I did as I was working on the story. So some of this stuff is no longer really applicable because there were things I thought about Lenny's character that changed while I was writing the rough draft. There were things about the story itself and where I thought things would end up that also changed. So there's going to be a lot of things in the edits that changed. There were a lot of things as I was writing the rough draft that changed. But basically, when I start writing a story, I try to fill out the character's inner journey. I try to understand her or his goal, motivation, and conflict, and their character arc. That's really where I start when I'm coming up with a story. Then I make sure that I have all of Act 1 plotted. I need to know who's the character's allies, what's the setting, what's the hook of this story, and then really what's going to be that first doorway that she goes through that locks her into that story. So I usually will know at least that much. Then I try to have an idea of where the midpoint is going to be, where the second doorway of no return, and then what's going to be the ending of the story. So I try to have that much filled out, but usually I don't have all of these other little details filled out when I'm starting a story. And you can see, even as I continued on, I didn't make all my notes in these sheets. But as I turn to edits, I'll show you what I've done so far. Basically, this is my plotting notebook. I've shown it before on the channel, but this is just a happy planner notebook that uses these discs. And I organize all of my different stories in this happy planner. So I've created a little cover here from my cover of The Witch's Key so that I know this is that book. And I have all my notes in here from when I was writing the book. What I've done so far in edits, and I often will do this when I'm working on a story, is I will pull up the rough draft, which I do usually in Google Docs, and I will go through chapter by chapter. In this case, episode by episode. I will write down what the starting word count is, and I will break it down chapter by chapter. Here's what happens. Here's what's going on in the story structure. Here's what happens in chapter 2. Here's how it applies to the story structure. Every single scene, I find out where the halfway point is. Then by the time we get to the end, of course, we're at 80,000 words. So this has basically just a few little sentences about what's happening in each part of the story. And this is where I like to begin, because it's really difficult to decide what's going to change if you don't have a clear view of what you have in place already. So even though George and I have talked through some of the edits, what's going to happen in the story, I've done some journaling about what's going to change in the story and change in the edits. This is really my first stage of the process. So this is going to be probably a night where I'm going live in about 40 minutes to read the second half of my story read. So I'm going to be reading that, and I'm then going to be working on this again, probably only taking a break for dinner and then continuing on to work through the story tonight. So what I'm hoping to get accomplished tonight, which is Wednesday, is I'm hoping to have the entire replot done, at least for the first half of the book. And then I will begin going through it. So tonight I'm hoping to have the replot done, as well as maybe the first few chapters read through and completely edited. Okay, so it is the end of the day and I'm actually sitting in bed working on edits late at night. George is gaming in the other room and I have been working on this for a little bit. I mostly at this stage, so I have all the scenes written out. I know what exists in the story right now, and I've been brainstorming what I feel like is not necessarily wrong with the story, but what can be improved about the story. And I've been working on Lenny's character arc, which I feel like is something that never really solidifies itself in the first draft, which is kind of tricky about reading a rough draft as you're writing it. So here's kind of my setup tonight. So I have my plotting notebook up here. I also have this notebook just in case I wanted to write out anything about the timeline. I have various tools of the trade here, like washi strips, stickers, markers, pens, and ruler, things like that. And I've just been basically sitting here for a couple of hours. I've got this sort of worked out that, right now as it stands, I originally believed that this story would be, originally I thought it was going to be like 25,000 words, which is ridiculous, I know, at this point. But once I started getting into it and I made it to Act 1, I knew that this was going to be at least a 60,000 word novel. But Act 1 for me occurs in the current rough draft story, and episode 4 at the very end at 13,335 words. But for a 79,000 word novel, I really need Act 1 to go to about 18 to 20,000. Now, it's not an exact science. It's not like I have to follow these rules, but pacing wise, if I let Act 1 happen so quickly, then I think that if you're reading it for the first time in ebook form, it's going to feel like Act 2 is out of balance because it's just too long. So I'm going to be playing around with story structure a little bit. So that is the first thing that I've really been working on. Then I'm thinking about, since I know now that this is going to be a series, at least 2 or 3 books, I need more clues about potentially the council's involvement, her parents' death, and bringing that story out a little bit more. Also, what's the real long-term magic setup here? Like, what's the magic system with the keys? How many keys are there? This, of course, isn't going to be necessarily part of the story just yet, because as we touched on with Gowan, he's not telling how many keys he has. But I do want to kind of know in my own head the answers to this, because I don't know at this point. So I want to set it up a little bit more about what happens with the keys and why they need keys. Also, I feel like Martin's role in this needs to be solidified a little bit more. Like, I feel like Martin would have been more keen to all of this. And I think just like with Kai, he would have been worried about Lenny from the start. Like, why does she have to go to school here? What's happening with these girls? I don't really want her going out on her own, because he is very protective of her. So I want to figure out how that will play into the story. So as you can see, there's a lot that needs to change in edits, and I'm excited to start working on it, but I can't actually start working on changing the story until I do all of this upfront work and really figure out what needs to change. So my next point of work is going to be really writing out the scenes, figuring out what needs to change. I believe that I'm going to be adding in a training sequence with Martin here in the first act, which is going to help solidify and extend this first act a little bit. So sometimes with edits, I can go ahead and plot that, but then when I actually write it, I'll have to see what the word count is, how it came out, how it affects later parts of the story, and it's really just a process of give and take. So that's what I'm working on tonight. It's almost midnight, so I'm just going to be working a little bit longer, and I'm sure that once I close my eyes, this little baby will probably wake up, because typically every night she wakes up literally 5 seconds after I close my eyes to go to bed. So I probably need to get that process started, get to bed myself, and work on this in the morning. Hello again. So last night I ended up working really late, probably too late, and then had a rough night with the baby. So I got up this morning with her around 6, and then George took over around 6:45, and I went back to bed and did not get up until 10, and then I had meetings from 11 to 3. So it is a busy day, and I've gotten almost nothing done on my edits. I am down to the wire on this needs to get done and out to beta readers. So there might be a couple of all-nighters in my future. I'm not looking forward to that. But then again, edits are really fun too. So once I get focused, and for some reason, a lot of times I have an easier time focusing at night. I still have a lot of afternoon left, so I'm going to try to get as much done as I can. So let's see how it goes. Hey everybody, so it is now Monday, which means that I've had a couple of days now of not really getting any work done on the story, which really sucks, but it was Mother's Day over the weekend, and just ended up spending a lot of time with my family, which was much needed. So I'm not going to feel too bad about not getting it done, but I have been working some today. But Mondays are always one of those days where it's like, you got to go get the groceries, got to finish the laundry and get everything, all the clothes put away and clean up the house. And that's what Mondays end up being for me, because I try to relax more on the weekends. So I've had a lot to do. So I'm back from the grocery store. I've gotten some editing done already today, and my husband does the laundry, and then I fold the laundry and help put it away. So it's kind of a tag team effort here. And yeah, I've gotten a few other little business things and answered some emails today, and then I'm going live in about an hour. So I've got an hour to print out the story that I'm reading live today, which is my story Loxley. And then I am potentially going to be pulling an all-nighter tonight because I'm getting down to the wire on getting this book to my editor. So yeah, this is kind of the life of a writer. It's like you want to take a little bit of time off to be with your family, and then you're going to suffer for a couple of days because you've got to get things out. And I'm always kind of pushing myself to the deadlines, which I would like to get better at. But for now, this is just how it is. It's like a roller coaster and a whirlwind. I've got a lot of work to do and I'm excited. I feel like the first part of the story is really coming together so much better than it was when I read it out loud. There are some big changes and some little changes, some word choice changes, some fixing of typos and things like that. So it's just a lot of work, and I'm sure I'll need several passes to make it good enough for publishing, but we're getting there. So I'm just going to keep chipping away at it, which is how this works. And you guys will be with me here for the rest of the day as we figure this out and get it done. All right, so let's go. Hey, you guys. So I'm making coffee, even though it is 9 o'clock at night, because today did not go as I had hoped. I feel like so many days go like this. It's, you know, it's hard being a mom with the kids both home. There's so much going on. So I just didn't get as much done as I hoped. It was such a busy day. So here we are at 9 o'clock. I have only edited 6,000 words today, which sounds like a lot, but I need to get more like 20,000. So I am going to be up probably pretty late tonight. So made some coffee and I'm about to get to work. I'm also like in my PJs ready to go. And yeah, here we go. It's going to be a late night. Okay, so we're back. It is now hopefully one of the last days of editing because I have made several passes, and you know, editing is really an incremental process. And it's funny because I just edited a part where Martin says magic is incremental. And it's one of those sort of things where it's like, you can't necessarily just take the whole of a novel and just snap your fingers and it's edited. And you can't even just read through it once and now it's fully edited. It really is a process. And so for me, it's a matter of going through, filling in the holes, which scenes are really going to change, which word choices are going to change, how does this character's arc need to change? And there's a lot of questions. And so there's so many different passes that you need to take, or at least in my process, through the manuscript, all the way through multiple times to the point where you just get tired of reading it and trying to figure out if it's good enough and is this going to do the story justice? Does it make it better or does it not make it better? I think that today is the day that I'm going to wrap up the majority of my part in this whole thing. And then tomorrow, of course, I will read through it one final time, usually using something like naturalreaders.com, where someone will read it to me for a change, and really making sure that I get as many of those typos as I can out of it. I always miss a few. My editors always miss a few. And such is just the way. It's very difficult to catch every tiny thing, but I'm going to get as many of them as I can, get it formatted and get it uploaded and ready and out to you guys on pre-order. So it will be releasing in less than a week now. So we're down to the wire, and this is part of both the beauty and the suffering of self-publishing. It's definitely not the case that all self-publishers push themselves to the wire like this. Some people do, but I set up this pre-order thinking that I would have a full 3 weeks from the time I finished that draft to work on it. And then, of course, we've had some issues with Evie being ill and just various other things that have taken up my time. And so I haven't had as much dedicated time to work on it, just little teeny piece by piece. So it's really been over the last week that I've just been pouring a lot of hours into it. And sometimes this is just the way it is. If you are traditionally published, you have to have that novel turned in months and months and months before the book is even coming out. So it's a totally different process when you're traditionally published. And then you have to wait a year for the book to actually come out. But for indies, we can be pushing ourselves right to the last minute. And this is kind of always the way that I was in college and school and everything else. Is like, if there was a paper due on Friday, I wouldn't start it until Wednesday, and I would always make an A. And it's just, my husband makes fun of me because I say I sort of thrive on tight deadlines, but it is true. Like, I just really work well on tight deadlines because it's like my brain laser focuses in on what needs to happen. So anyway, I am showing you guys a real true process. I'm cutting it closer than I like to cut it, but since this story was already read and well loved just as it was, I'm feeling still like it's going to be a good book. So all right, now that the entire plot is solidified, I have a few scenes to change in this final kind of pass, but I am ready to go through and make the final changes, I believe, and send this out. So here we go.
Hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side, our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight.
Hey guys, so it is 9:17 at night, and I'm supposed to be editing, and my baby is supposed to be sleeping so that I can get this done, because I probably have at least 4 hours worth of work to do tonight and a busy day tomorrow. But let me show you what she's doing instead. What you doing, Evie? You say I'm wide awake, Mommy. So George and I are going to sit and watch a little bit of anime. I just made a fresh coffee. So we are going to sit here. I'm going to drink some coffee, hopefully after an episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. She will be sleepy and I can get to work. Now I could just leave her with George, but I like to spend time with her in the evening. So since she's wide awake, we're going to just enjoy a little bit of family break, and then I'll be back to work after, hopefully finishing the book. My beta readers are currently reading through what I have edited and ready to go so far. So I'm looking forward to comments from them soon. Hello again. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that in the other room. I don't know if that'll pick up, but it is 10:21 and we watched a few episodes of Full Metal Alchemist, and Evie kind of played on our laps and we tried to get her tired. So then I went and rocked her for a bit, gave her a little bit more milk, and she's crying again. So George is going to take over for a bit, as much as I like to really do the nighttime stuff, because I've got to get to editing. I want to get this done as much as possible. Oh my gosh, my eyes look so tired, but I'm definitely hanging in there. I could definitely wait until tomorrow and just get a normal night's sleep, I guess, but I'm just so anxious because I'm so into the story. I'm like ready to get it done and to bring it together. And I find that if I take too many breaks, it's like my brain is just already working on it so much and thinking about it. I just really want to get back to it. So I am going to continue my work and hope that she get some good little sleep tonight and that I can get quite a bit done tonight. I'm not sure if my beta readers have caught up to the part that I've got ready for them or not, but I want to stay ahead of them. So here we go. Hello again. So just a quick update. I have been so busy, I've had a hard time updating, so I apologize if this is kind of piecemeal, but I ended up getting to about 45,000 words in the edits last night, about 2 in the morning. And of course, the second I put my head to the pillow, Evie woke up and was up with me. I was up with her until almost 3. And then she was up again at 5. So I did not get a lot of sleep last night. So I slept in this morning a little bit more than I originally intended, but I needed that sleep. So I did that. I've been working on edits today all day, and I'm almost to 60,000 words in the edits, which means we only have basically a couple scenes, and then they are at the cabin to get the girls. So we're almost there. This next big part, I'm making some changes when it comes to like Bates. If you watch the original readings, you know that Bates, so in the original readings, they bring Bates to the Demon Circle area, to the training grounds, and he tells them that, oh, he met Julie Peterson at this Christmas expo and all this stuff, and that the portal in her house leads to this big cupcake factory and stuff like that. I have removed that part from the book for now, and instead Darius just says, we're not getting anything out of this guy, let's take him back and do some truth potion. So I skip and condense that part. I'm also, this next big part that I'm changing is, I feel like Kai telling Lenny, come to Serbine because Olive just showed up, is not, that scene was never as strong as I wanted it to be. Ooh, sun just came out. That scene was never as strong as I wanted it to be, so I'm changing that a little bit. My beta readers have caught up to where I am now, so I had to let them know, okay, it's going to be a couple hours before I'll get the next section to you. We're supposed to be cooking dinner tonight, but I think it's going to be another night where we order Uber Eats or something like that, so I'm trying to decide what to order. I might not be eating according to diet today because I just am 100% all about the book right now, and sometimes when I'm working on the book, it's not that I'm stressed exactly, but it's just that I want those comfort foods or those things that are just going to give me joy and like propel me forward. So yeah, we might be ordering some food tonight. So there goes those 5 pounds I lost. Well, we'll see. It'll be okay. Okay, so it is now 7 p.m. and I'm just now getting back to work a little bit. So Evie's over there with her new toy. Andrew's getting the bath filled. George is going on a run. So I'm going to take a minute while Evie is playing with the toy, and I'm going to get a little bit done. And this is life as a mom. You just have to steal time where you can get it. One of my beta readers is finishing up her part of reading right now. I can see her in the dock. So I'm going to try to get another chapter up for her now. Hello again. So now it is 10:46. I forgot to start up the video and update you guys when I got started again, but basically it took me a little bit to get the baby to bed, but she's finally asleep. I did my evening routine, which includes like a tarot card pull, and then I've been just working diligently on getting it done. And so I am down to the last ritual scene. We're getting there. We're so close. And I'm feeling a little bit emotional, but also getting that surge of I'm almost done with my 26th novel. And, you know, finishing the rough draft is always exhilarating too, because you know the story is coming together and it's, you know, it's coming out of you and it's there. But you also know at that point that there's still so much work to be done. So when you get close to finishing the edits, it's like this euphoric sense of I'm exhausted, but I did it and it's good, you know, and fixing those little things is like bringing it all together. And it's hard to describe, but it's just a magical feeling. And I'm very excited to get to that tonight. And I think maybe an hour or so worth of work, and maybe I'm done by midnight. Wish me luck.
You and I, we got it. We don't need no more.
I did it. Yes. It is. Right now it's midnight, but I finished around 11:41, and I'm coming downstairs to do an update because everybody upstairs is sleeping in my household. There's no doubt in my mind that as soon as my head hits the pillow, Evie will be awake, but I'm enjoying my nighttime with her, so I'm not going to complain about it. But I did it. Novel number 26. I finished edits just now, and it's now in the hands of my beta reader and my editor, my proofreader. So I just have to wait for everybody to finish it. My 2 beta readers are almost done with it because they were working on it as I was working on it too. So they're almost done. My husband is also reading through it one last time, and my proofreader will read it in the morning. So when I get up in the morning, I will finish inputting all of their changes, and then I will format the book, read through it one more time, like on my device. Usually I will read through it in my Google Play Books app because I like the way that reads, the books read in that app, and catch hopefully any other lingering typos or mistakes, and just kind of enjoy the read and try to put myself in your shoes as the reader to see how it would feel to experience it for the first time. That's the way I love to do it, right before the end. Then I will make any final changes, upload the book, and it will, get processed through all of these places, and it will go live for you guys to actually read on Tuesday, May 19th. Definitely some scenes changed, some things got strengthened, some scenes were deleted. So if you're interested to see and find out what changed, even if you went through the entire story with me here on YouTube, then you can purchase the book. It is up for pre-order now. By the time you guys are seeing this video, it will be Sunday. So you still have time to pre-order it before it comes out on Tuesday, the 19th. I'm so excited. It just feels good after a year and a half to finally have another book completed. Just such a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I'm really proud of myself, and I'm really excited to see what everybody thinks. And I'm going to drink a celebratory glass of wine by myself downstairs while everybody else is sleeping. Just enjoy some quiet time before I go to bed to reflect on this experience and just how much I appreciate all of you for being a part of it. So one more day of edits and I'm done. Guys, I did it. I did it. So my beta readers loved the book. They sent me all of their updates. I did not get a chance to record it, so I apologize because I was just in work mode. But I inputted all of the changes from my beta readers, my proofreader, and I formatted the book in Vellum. And then I uploaded all of the books to Amazon, Apple, Google, Kobo, and Barnes & Noble, or the book. And so that's it. Witch's Key will be out. And I don't usually do pre-orders. So for me, usually when I upload it, it's live and I'm going to start getting reviews and everything else right away. But now I have to wait till Tuesday to find out. But it's also kind of weird because usually when I'm publishing a book, nobody really knows what it is and what it's about. I mean, you may know it's book 11 of the Shadow Demon Saga, but you don't know the story. And this time there's going to be hundreds, almost over 1,000 people who know this story already. So it's kind of interesting to be doing it this way. So I'm looking forward to having an all week release party with you guys. Next week, I'll be going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to celebrate the release of The Witch's Key. I cannot wait. I cannot believe it. My first published book in over a year and a half. So yay, very exciting stuff. Thanks for coming along on this journey of editing with me. If you are not subscribed, I hope that you'll subscribe. Check out The Witch's Key. You can listen to me reading the rough draft as I write it here on YouTube. So I'll have the first episode and the playlist linked for you down below. Or if you're just catching up, pre-order the book and read it in its fully edited and refined form, and join us for season 2 that'll be coming hopefully later this summer. All right, love you guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. sleep. Hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and